Hi, I'm Eva, and tonight, I have a confession to make. Every story begins with a secret, so watch until the end and discover the pattern of an unfaithful woman who always has an excuse to cover up her tracks of betrayal. When I first walked into Dr. Aaron Keller's office in downtown Portland, I thought I was walking into the place that would save my marriage. I never imagined it would be the place where it died. It was early spring of 2016, the kind of gray, misty Portland afternoon that made everything feel heavier than it already was. My wife, Lisa, and I had been together 11 years, and things were falling apart faster than either of us could keep up. She blamed my distance. I blamed my exhaustion. We both agreed that therapy was our last chance. Dr. Keller came highly recommended, middle-aged, sympathetic, perfectly spoken, the kind of man who could make you believe he understood every pain you'd never said aloud. For the first few sessions, it felt like progress. He told us to breathe through resentment, to rediscover emotional intimacy. I didn't notice how often she smiled during their one-on-one sessions until it was too late. By the time I realized their emotional exercises had become physical, I wasn't just fighting for my marriage anymore. I was fighting against a man who'd violated the very profession meant to protect people like us. My name was Evan Brooks, and in 2017, I sued my wife and our therapist for $2 million, and won. I'm an environmental architect. My world revolved around symmetry, sustainability, function, all the things I could measure and repair with drawings, numbers, and plans. But you can't draw a blueprint for a broken marriage. Lisa and I had started drifting in 2015, right when my firm took on 3 simultaneous green housing projects. I was working 12-hour days, surviving on caffeine and silence. The intimacy between us had disappeared months earlier, replaced by apologies and fatigue. Then there was my own private shame, the side effects of the antidepressant I'd begun taking to handle the stress. It muted me physically. I could feel desire, but not act on it, like a switch had been turned off somewhere I couldn't reach. I told no one, not even Lisa. We slept in the same bed but felt like tenants sharing space. She accused me of not wanting her anymore. I tried, several times, with half success and full humiliation. She started sleeping in yoga clothes, claiming it helped her anxiety. That's when she suggested marriage counseling. "We need to understand each other again," she said. I agreed because I wanted to believe there was something left to fix. That's how we met Dr. Keller, a counselor who would later claim empathy broke boundaries. For now, he was just another man sitting across from us, telling me to open up emotionally, while studying Lisa a second too long. If you haven't subscribed yet, do it now, because what looked like healing was about to become the most expensive betrayal in Portland. At first, therapy seemed to help. Dr. Keller encouraged us to reframe our connection. We did breathing sessions, vulnerability circles, and separate consultations. Lisa returned home lighter, giggling sometimes after her one-on-one meetings. "He really understands me," she'd say. I didn't think much of it, it was his job to connect. But slowly, she started quoting him more than she spoke to me. "Dr. Keller says you retreat into work to avoid emotional intimacy. Dr. Keller thinks you fear being seen." I wanted to defend myself but found no words that didn't sound guilty. Our intimacy didn't improve, in fact, it got worse. When we did try, something invisible stood between us, the ghost of his voice, almost as if he were directing her from another room. Months later, I found out that Dr. Keller was encouraging trust exercises during their private sessions, physical touch disguised as therapy. Lisa would tell me she had late-night, compassion sessions, reassuring me they were necessary for breakthrough progress. The irony was unbearable. I had gone to therapy to fix the dysfunction in my marriage, but therapy had become the dysfunction itself. Everything unraveled one weekend in November. Lisa had gone on a mindfulness retreat near the Oregon coast, her phone plugged into the kitchen counter before she left. That night, our daughter needed to contact her for a school event, so I unlocked the phone. What I saw made my stomach fall. The first message was from a contact saved as AK, Dr. Keller. "You looked incredible tonight. Still thinking about last session. Remember how safe you felt?" There were dozens more appointments after office hours, references to hotel rooms under clinic expense accounts. Her replies were worse. "You said I needed physical closure to understand intimacy. I think you were right." The man we had paid to repair our marriage had been seducing my wife under the mask of therapy. When I confronted Lisa, she broke down instantly. "It wasn't supposed to happen," she kept repeating. "He said it would help me reconnect with you." The betrayal hit like a physical blow. Not only had she cheated, but she had done it with my consent, in a room I'd entered seeking help. I didn't shout, didn't hit, didn't even cry. I just walked out, sat in my car, and imagined what justice might look like in a city where even therapists had price tags. 2 weeks later, I sat in Dr. Keller's office again, but this time with a lawyer beside me. We didn't tell him we already had the text messages, the emails, the receipts for unauthorized after-hours sessions. Lisa attended that meeting too, sitting 2 chairs away from him, trembling. "We trusted you," I said quietly. "You weren't her counselor. You were our counselor." He started to say something about a transference when my attorney interrupted, "Save it for the board hearing." That was the first time I saw fear register in his calm, curated face. Lisa confessed everything soon after, how he used my erectile dysfunction as psychological leverage, telling her I was unavailable, and that intimacy with him was part of a healing method. Our therapist had exploited my greatest vulnerability to seduce my wife. I filed a civil lawsuit in early 2017 for $2 million, professional malpractice, emotional distress, and breach of fiduciary duty. By the time local reporters found the court documents, the story had gone viral on Reddit, thread after thread titled, "Man Sues Wife and Therapist After Affair in Sessions." If you think justice always hurts, click like, because what came next was something I never expected, a moment of poetic balance. Their defense strategy was predictable: consent. Dr. Keller's attorney argued the relationship had begun after the therapy concluded, and was mutually emotional. Lisa's affidavit echoed his language, describing their time together as healing, not predatory. Reading those statements in court was surreal. She wasn't defending herself, she was defending him. My own wife had aligned with the man who manipulated her by weaponizing my medical condition. But Oregon's ethics board, referencing similar 2016 misconduct cases, had clear boundaries. Sexual relationships between therapists and active or former clients are considered unethical and punishable under state law. The law was on my side. During her depositions, Lisa could barely look at me. She broke down when asked how the affair began. "He said my husband was numb," she whispered, "and that I needed to feel wanted again." The judge looked disgusted. So was I. It wasn't just betrayal. It was calculated abuse disguised as therapy. That's what we proved. The final blow came from Dr. Keller's own words. My lawyer subpoenaed his client billing records, which revealed over a dozen unclassified late-night sessions, charged under Lisa's name. Combined with text messages and witness depositions from clinic staff, who reported seeing her leaving his office after closing, the evidence was undeniable. The jury ruled in my favor. The settlement reached outside court granted me $2 million paid jointly by Dr. Keller and his practice's insurer. Lisa's share of the responsibility disqualified her from marital asset claims. The irony hit me only later. Therapy had been meant to restore trust and intimacy, but in the end, the institution of therapy became the weapon of my vindication. Professional boundaries exist for a reason, and he broke every one. When Reddit picked up the verdict, the posts exploded with comments like, "He literally sued love and won." Some called me heartless. Others called me a hero. What none of them understood is that I didn't win out of anger. I did it for closure. I needed to prove that my dysfunction, my silence, wasn't weakness. It was humanity exploited by power. What would you have done if the man paid to heal your marriage turned himself into her lover? Leave your thoughts below, because what restored me after all this wasn't money, it was something far simpler. The lawsuit ended in my favor, but healing took longer. I stopped therapy altogether for a while, doubting every professional promise. It wasn't until a year later, when I came across Dr. Jerry Burroughs' research on natural recovery in men affected by psychotherapy trauma, that I found something real again. He called it the masculinity coffee, a combination of 3 common household ingredients designed to restore blood flow, libido, and confidence without medication. Skeptical but desperate, I tried it. Within weeks, the results were real. My anxiety dropped, my energy came back, and the dysfunction that once defined me disappeared completely. If you're wondering what those 3 household ingredients are, check the pinned comment in this video. It has Dr. Burroughs' information, but access may not stay open for long. Today, I teach sustainable design full-time and co-parent my daughter peacefully. Lisa remarried another therapist 2 years later, a decision I'll never understand. Dr. Keller lost his license permanently and left the state. I learned that sometimes, justice isn't revenge. It's rebuilding yourself stronger. I thought I went to therapy to fix my marriage, but it turned out therapy became the weapon that broke it, until Dr. Burroughs' 3 household ingredients gave me back the confidence that no counselor ever could.